Okay, so coming back to the equilibrium, now we will focus on the idea of stability of an equilibrium. Okay, so it will be okay, so it will be bit mathematical, so please use your pen and copies to write the equation, solve it, so because it will be a bit mathematical in nature. Both graphical and mathematical things I'll give. So stability of an equilibrium, if the initial values of the endogenous variables deviate from their respective equilibrium values, and if in such circumstances forces develop that move the variables to their respective equilibrium values, the equilibrium is said to be stable. Okay, so I'm telling you too much, so let's see what I'm trying to tell you using a simple graph. Okay, so I'm starting with a simple demand and supply curves. This is again the aggregated demand and supply, that is the market demand and the market supply curves. Okay. We are considering perfect competition in the background. So all the things we are considering so far, everything is there. Okay. So in that context, this is the demand and this is the supply curves. Now, this price is considered as the equilibrium price. Now, because of some reason, suppose the price falls to this level. So this is called the off equilibrium price. This price, suppose I'm marking price by now suppose I'm considering any price P1. P1 is a price which is off equilibrium price. So if the system is such that at P1 there is an excess demand, and whenever there is an excess demand, the price will go up. Whenever there is an excess demand in any market, if there is any excess demand in any market, price will go up, and excess supply indicates price will fall. So this will always happen. If there is an excess demand, price will go up. If there is an excess supply, price will go down. And if there is an excess demand, price goes up, and that in turn reduces excess demand. Okay. In that case, we are moving towards the equilibrium. Again, if there is an excess supply, price will always reduce. And if that reduction in price helps us to move towards equilibrium, in that case, we will call the equilibrium a stable equilibrium. So if there is any off equilibrium position, of equilibrium price and there is an excess demand, as price goes up, if that in turn help us to move towards the equilibrium price. On the other hand, if there is an excess supply and there is a reduction in price, if that in turn help us to move towards the equilibrium, in that case, we will call the equilibrium a stable one. In this particular diagram, at P1, there is an excess demand and naturally the price will go up. And as price is going up, what I am finding that we are moving towards equilibrium. Alternatively, if price is this, say, there is an excess supply and using the natural rule, the price will reduce and that reduction in price is helping us to move towards the equilibrium. Okay, so if this is the demand curve, this is the supply curve. Whenever there is an excess demand and price increases for that matter, we are moving towards the equilibrium. Whenever there is an excess supply, price is falling down and that is helping us to moving towards equilibrium. So this equilibrium E will be called a stable equilibrium. So because of any pandemic, any kind of shock, if there is a reduction in price compared to the initial equilibrium state, or if there is an increase in price because of certain shocks in the economy, in that case, again, we will be able to resettle at the equilibrium price. If the situation is this, we call the state the stable position. Alternatively, suppose I'm considering the similar kind of context. However, this is the demand curve. Demand curve is positively sloped, whereas supply curve is negatively sloped. Okay. This is the equilibrium point, and this is the equilibrium price. Now I am considering this price. Okay. Now at this price, do we have the excess demand or excess supply?
We have excess supply.
We have excess supply.
We have excess supply. Very good. And what will be the price mechanism if there is an excess supply?
Prices
will go down.
Price will go down. If there is any excess supply, price will go down. Okay. So the next price will be, say, given by this line. Now, as price is falling because of the pressure of excess supply, what is happening? Excess supply is increasing or decreasing?
increasing.
Increasing. So if there is again excess supply, what will happen? Price will go down or up?
Price goes.
Go down. Price will fall.
Prices go down.
Okay. So never we will be able to move towards this direction. There is an excess supply, this is true, and for that matter, price is falling down, that is true. However, that reduction in price no way is helping us to move towards the equilibrium. Alternatively, if we have this kind of, if we start from this position,
Yes, marked with the downward sloping curve of the supply curve.
and coming to that, first you try to understand the mechanism, the meaning. Okay, so with this particular price, is there excess demand or excess supply?
Excess demand.
Excess demand. Okay. So what will be the adjustment procedure if there is an excess demand?
The price will rise.
The price will rise.
Prices rises.
Every demand price will rise. So price will rise, and as price continuously rises, because of pressure of excess demand, economy is moving away and away from the equilibrium. So if the price moves away and away from the equilibrium, starting from an off equilibrium position, the equilibrium will be called an unstable equilibrium. So here E is equilibrium because market will be cleared at E. However, and it is unique in nature because the two lines are meeting each other for the single time. Equilibrium exists because at some positive price, the lines are cutting each other. So there is no problem regarding the uniqueness and the existence of the equilibrium. However, this equilibrium is unstable in nature. This is an unstable equilibrium. Okay? So when, because of pressure of excess demand, price falls, however, it cannot move towards the equilibrium price, or because of the pressure of the excess supply, price reduces, however, it cannot move towards the equilibrium price. In that case, the equilibrium is called an unstable equilibrium. Okay. Now, there are some specific markets. Already you learned about the Veblen effect. So if there is Veblen effect in the market, in that case, the aggregate demand curve will be positively sloped. Maybe it may be positively sloped. Okay. So in case of Veblen commodities, this may be the thing. Okay. And if that particular commodity uses a very precious raw material kind of thing, okay, so an increase in price does not necessarily means there will be an increase in supply. Okay, so an increase in price may discourage the suppliers to increase the supply to a certain extent because the raw material is very expensive, or it is rare in nature. Okay, so there may be this kind of relationship in context of the supply curve too, because supply not only depends on the prices of the commodity, there are input prices, there is technology, all these things are also determining the supply condition. So under specific condition, the supply may be negatively sloped as well. That is, as price of the commodity is increasing, the producers, because of certain other reasons, because of the input prices or because of the technology, they will be forced to reduce the supply. Okay, so in that case, the supply curve will be negatively sloped. Okay, so however, to understand the notion of the stability of the equilibrium, what we are finding that if I change the shape of the demand and the supply curve, all total, in that case, what we are finding that the equilibrium exists, equilibrium is unique in nature. However, as we are considering the excess demand as well as we are considering the excess supply mechanisms, we will be no way able to move towards the equilibrium position. Hence, this equilibrium is an unstable equilibrium. So not only this is, a very rare case. However, we will give some examples when the demand curve is negatively sloped, supply curve is positively sloped. Still, we are not getting, the stable equilibrium because of some other reasons, So when I'll discuss the stability in detail, we will bring all these issues. Now, to begin with, to understand the notion of stability, however, if I read the sentence once more, if the initial values of the endogenous variables deviate from their respective equilibrium values, and if in such circumstances forces develop that move the variables to their respective equilibrium values, the equilibrium is said to be stable. However, if these forces do not help the system to come back to the equilibrium value, in that case, the equilibrium will be called the unstable equilibrium. So look at this sentence and at least tell me whether you are understanding now this sentence. You are understanding the idea of stability. Are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now there are two approaches by which we can discuss this entire stability analysis. One is the static analysis and other is the dynamic analysis. In context of static analysis, we will not incorporate the time element in our analysis. Whereas, in case of the dynamic analysis, time will be the indispensable component of equilibrium analysis. In this semester, we will focus only on static stability analysis. The dynamic stability we will do in the second semester in the mathematical economics course. Okay. So in this semester, we are not doing stability analysis, incorporating time in our discussion. We will go for the static stability analysis. We are not varying the time. Okay. So for a particular time period, how we will understand the concept of stability, that will be discussed in this semester, which we call the static stability analysis. Now again, in case of static stability analysis, there are two approaches. One developed by Walras. So Walrasian static stability analysis. And another type of analysis developed by Marshall, which is called Marshallian stability analysis. Okay. So we will discuss about Walrasian static stability analysis and also about Marshallian static stability analysis. Today, first I'll give the Walrasian and the Marshallian definitions of stability. Okay. And if time permits, I'll start talking about the mechanism of Walrasian static stability. Okay. So let's move to the ideas of different ideas of static stability. Okay. The analysis is bit mathematical and side by side we will have the graphical analysis too. Okay, so please use your pen and paper to write down all the equations, solving it, etc. So we are considering the demand equation as QD is equal to D as a function of P, be the demand function. So we are making a shortcut. We are only considering the endogenous determinant P. We are not bringing the exogenous determinants of demand explicitly. That is, we are not considering prices of other commodities, income, etc. We are simply considering the endogenous determinant of demand. QD is equal to a function of P. D as a function of P, be the demand function. And we are calling this equation number 1. Similarly, we have the supply equation given by QS is equal to S as a function of P. Okay, this is the supply equation. Next, we are defining the excess demand function, QD minus QS. We are defining the excess demand function, which is presented by QD minus QS equal to DP minus SP. Both demand and the supply are functions of the endogenous determinant price. So this DP minus SP we are considering as E. Excess demand is defined by E, which is a function of P. So this is the excess demand, which is a function of P. We are calling QD minus QS is equal to E as a function of P. The third equation number 3. This excess demand equation is called equation number 3. So this is equation number 1, this is equation number 2, and this is equation number 3. So please complete up to this. This is done. Next, Walrasian behavioral assumptions are EP greater than 0. That means if excess demand is positive, that leads to a rise in price. The thing which we discussed so far. If there is an excess demand, the price will go up. And if EP less than 0, if there is negative excess demand, which means excess supply, negative of excess demand means excess supply. So if there is an excess supply, that leads to a price fall. So excess demand is positive, that leads to a rise in price. Excess demand less than 0 leads to a price fall. Any question? In Walra model, equilibrium is statically stable if a price rise in response to excess demand in turn reduces excess demand and vice versa. Vice versa means and also the reverse. So what I am telling, in Walrasian framework, equilibrium will be called a statically stable equilibrium if a price rise in response to positive excess demand in turn reduces excess demand and vice versa. Okay, in the earlier graph we checked if there is a negatively sloped demand, positively sloped supply. If I start from a price when there is an excess demand and naturally price goes up, in that case the volume of excess demand falls. So a Walrasian framework, equilibrium is statically stable if a price rise in response to excess demand in turn reduces excess demand and vice versa. So
I
that,
could not get this part. Can you please explain?
yes, I'll do. That in using the mathematical notation can be presented as D of E of P, change in excess demand. E as a function of P has been marked as excess demand. So dE of P by dP, which is nothing but d prime P minus S prime P, that should be less than 0. Okay, dEP by dP that should be less than 0. DEP by DP less than 0. What is the meaning of this? As price increases, excess demand falls. An inverse relationship between the numerator and the denominator. As price increases, excess demand falls. DEP by DP, which will be given by the slope of the demand curve D prime P minus the slope of the demand supply curve S prime P, that should be less than 0. From where we are getting D prime P and S prime P? If we look at this equation, QD minus QS or EP is equal to DP minus SP. So if I take derivative of this expression in the right hand side, it implies I'm taking the derivative of the demand equation with respect to P minus I am taking the derivative of the supply equation with respect to P. So E prime P or DEP by DP is equal to D prime P minus S prime P. So this has been written here. DEP by DP is equal to D prime P minus S prime P, and the mechanism is, as there is an increase in price because of the pressure of excess demand, in that case, the excess demand itself will be reduced. The excess demand itself will be reduced. That is an inverse relationship between the excess demand and P. Okay. So in Walra model, equilibrium is statically stable if a price rise in response to excess demand in turn reduces excess demand and vice versa. Thus, DEP by DP, which is given by D prime P minus S prime P, is less than 0 is the Walrasian stability condition. Is the Walrasian stability condition. Walrasian stability condition is given by DEP by DP is equal to D prime P minus S prime P should be less than 0. Graphically, somebody is telling me to draw the diagram once again. Okay. So look at this part. This is the usual demand. This is the usual supply curve. I am starting with this price. With this price, demand is this much, whereas supply is this much. So this volume is this is the amount of excess demand at this price. Now, if price goes up to this level because of the pressure of excess demand, this is the demand, this is the supply. So excess demand falls to this amount. So because of the pressure of the excess demand, if there is an upward rise in price, what we are finding that the volume of excess demand that is falling. Okay. So DEP by DP, if I write it in terms of the calculus, this graph, if I want to summarize in terms of the calculus, what I should write, del EP by del P, that should be negative. As price rises, excess demand falls. Okay. So this is the Walrasian stability condition.
That's why you have drawn that graph on the left side in the reverse order, right?
And that will be Walra unstable then?
Oh, understood.
Okay. So remember, Walrasian behavioral assumptions are, if there is an excess demand, price will go up. If there is an excess supply, price will go down. These are the behavioral assumptions. Behavioral assumptions. If price changes, excess demand, excess supply will change in this direction. So under these two assumptions, Walrasian stability condition is given by this equation, del EP by del P less than 0. That is, if there is a positive excess demand, and for that matter, if price changes, that in turn reduces excess demand. Okay, that is, there should be an inverse relationship between the price and the excess demand. If price goes up because of the pressure of the excess demand will start falling. If this condition holds, this will be called Walras stable. Walrasian stability is there. If the condition does not hold, now in this left hand side diagram, in this particular diagram, if I consider this left hand side diagram, Walrasian behavioral assumptions are satisfied. If there is excess demand, price is going up. If there is excess supply, price is going down. So there is no problem with the behavioral assumptions. However, this is not stable in Walras sense, because as price is going down, there will be continuous increase in excess supply. As price is going up, there is continuous increase in excess demand. Okay, so the model which is in the left hand side, that is Walras unstable. The model which we have in the right hand side, that is Walras stable, because it is satisfying Walrasian stability condition. Okay, and if you look at this model here, del EP by del P is positive, because if there is excess demand, positive excess demand, price is going up, and that in turn will increase the volume of excess demand. It will not reduce, rather it will increase the volume of excess demand. So as price is going up, because of the pressure of the excess demand, that is increasing the volume of excess demand, so that del EP by del P is positive. And clearly the model in the left hand side is Walras unstable, whereas the model we have in the right hand side, that is Walras stable. Any question? Next, Marshallian stability condition. Okay, now before coming to this, I think it will be easier to introduce the notion to you if I first do it using a graph. Unlike Walras, Marshall tried to explain the entire analysis of stability looking at quantitative adjustment. To Walras, the adjusting factor is price, whereas to Marshall, the adjusting factor is quantity. So Walras analysis focused on the endogenous variable price, whereas Marshallian elaboration of stability is based on adjustment of another endogenous variable, which is quantity. Okay, so what Marshall is trying to tell us, we will start with a particular quantity, say Q1, okay, and we'll mark the demand price and the supply price. Okay, so let me mark the points first. Okay, so P1D is the first demand price and P1S is the first supply price. And Marshall will focus on the difference between the demand price and the supply price. Walra focused on D minus S. Marshall is focusing on P1D and P1S. Demand price and the supply price. Demand price and the supply price. Okay. And he is telling that if the demand price is greater than supply price, okay, in that case, suppliers will have the incentive to produce more. So if this is positive, so Q will move towards, Q will increase. Quantity will move towards the rightward direction. And as quantity increases, the gap between the demand price and the supply price is falling. If quantity increases further, the gap is further reducing. And finally, reaching at this step, this adjustment will be stopped. Okay. So Marshall described equilibrium or the stability of the equilibrium in this way. So Marshall is telling that if we start from an off equilibrium quantity, there will be a gap between the demand price and the supply price. Now, if demand price is greater than the supply price, producers will have an incentive to increase their production. Okay, they will have incentive to increase their production. Now, as production increases, the gap between the demand price and the supply price is falling. Okay, now again, or the still demand price is greater than supply price with yellow demand, green demand price and green supply price. And for that matter, there will be a further increase in quantity. Still, there is a gap between the yellow demand price and yellow supply price. So, supply will further increase. Okay. So, for every increase in supply, there will be a continuous reduction in the demand price and the supply price, the gap between the demand price and the supply price. And finally, when there is no gap, that position is called the equilibrium. So as there is change in quantities, continuously the gap between the demand and the supply price is falling. And thus, the economy is moving towards the equilibrium price quantity combination.
Ma'am, can you please repeat this line for every increase in supply?
I didn't get you.
Can you please repeat the line that for every increase in supply, what did you say next?
Okay, for every increase in supply, the gap between the demand price and the supply price is falling. Are you getting this?
Yes, ma'am. Then?
And as the gap is continuously falling, the economy is moving towards the equilibrium. Okay? And if this happens, we will call the equilibrium Marshallian stable. So we will start with a gap between the demand and supply prices. For that, if there is a positive gap, quantity will be continuously increased. And for any increase in quantity, or for every increase in quantity, there will be a continuous reduction in demand price and the supply price. And thus the economy is moving towards the equilibrium price quantity combination. So if this mechanism takes place, we will call the equilibrium Marshall stable. Okay, so if I mark all the prices and quantities, this is P2D, this is P2S, this is P3D, this is P3S, and this is PE. So mathematically, if I like to state this thing, we will start with a demand price. So demand function in inverse form is given by PD is equal to D inverse Q. Since the adjustment will take place in terms of quantity, we are considering the equation in terms of demand price and the supply price. So if I write the usual equation, Q as a function of P, that in the inverse form is presented as P as a function of Q, P as an inverse function of Q. So PD can be written as D inverse Q. Call it equation number 5. And the supply function in inverse form can be written as PS is equal to S inverse Q. So this is equation number 6. Equation 5 states the maximum price, called the demand price, the consumers are willing to pay for any given quantity. And equation 6 states the minimum price, called the supply price, needed to induce suppliers to offer a given quantity Q. So demand price is showing the maximum price which demanders will be willing to give, maximum willingness to pay, whereas the supply price is telling us what is the minimum price at which the suppliers will be induced to produce or to sell up to the quantity Q. The difference PD minus PS, that is D inverse Q minus S inverse Q, which is nothing but E inverse Q, excess, anything excess we are marking as capital E. So in the previous case, while we marked excess demand, we considered capital E as a function of P, and here we are considering all inverse functions, D inverse Q, D inverse S. Naturally, when we will consider the excess demand, that will be also given in terms of excess demand price. So excess demand price is presented as PD minus PS is equal to E inverse as a function of Q. This defines the excess demand price. This functional format presents the excess demand price, and this excess demand price is an inverse function of Q. Okay, is an inverse function of Q, which means as Q increases starting from an excess demand price position, the gap between the PD minus PS that will fall. Okay. So up to first you tell me whether equation 5, 6, 7, up to 7 is just clear to all of you. Equation 5, 6 and 7, is it clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next we are going to the mechanism by which we will present the stability. Marshallian behavioral assumptions center on the behavior of output Q. Marshallian behavioral assumptions center on the behavior of output Q, whereas Walra considered the other endogenous variable P. Marshall is considering the endogenous variable Q. Marshallian assumptions are E inverse Q positive. That means if there is a positive excess demand price, in that case, there will be a rise in Q. Alternatively, if excess demand price is negative, that is the supply price is greater than that of demand price, in that case, there will be a reduction in Q. If demand price is greater than supply price, producers will get incentive to produce more. If alternatively, supply price is greater than demand price, that will create a disincentive to the producers. And naturally, the producers will like to supply less. So E inverse Q positive, that is demand price is greater than supply price, indicates an increase in quantity. Alternatively, E inverse Q negative indicates there will be a reduction in quantity. If the supply price is greater than demand price, in that case, producers will like to supply less. So these are the two behavioral assumptions. In the Marshallian model,
It is less than 0. That means the supply price is more than the demand price.
which one?
When E inverse Q is less than 0.
Supply price is more than the demand price. Yes. Supply price is more than the demand price. The maximum amount we are willing to pay is less compared to the minimum amount at which the producers will like to sell their commodities. Okay. We are telling that we will be able to give maximum 100 rupees for this commodity, whereas the minimum price at which the suppliers will be able to sell this commodity is 120. This is the thing. In the Marshallian model, equilibrium is statically stable if the rise in Q caused by excess demand price in turn reduces the excess demand price and vice versa. I'm repeating, in the Marshallian framework, equilibrium is statically stable if the rise in Q caused by excess demand price in turn reduces the excess demand price and vice versa. So when I gave the pictorial presentation, what we got that demand price is greater than supply price, quantity is increasing for that matter, so it is satisfying the behavioral assumption, and that in turn is reducing the gap between the demand price and the supply price. So if this happens, in that case, the equilibrium will be called statically stable equilibrium, because if continuously the gap between the demand price and the supply price falls, naturally it indicates we are moving towards the equilibrium. Okay, so this is the idea. Okay, so first tell me whether there is any question up to this, then I'll go to the mathematical format of presenting Marshallian stability condition. Any question? So mathematics.
Can you please show the previous slide just once?
Done?
Just
okay, so mathematically these terms and condition, that is equilibrium is statically stable if the rise in Q caused by excess demand price in turn reduces the excess demand price. So this idea can be captured using the calculus in the following way. I'm considering d dq of E inverse Q because here Q is the changing component. So I have to take derivative with respect to Q of the excess demand price given by E inverse Q. So I'm taking derivative of E inverse Q with respect to Q, which means I am considering D inverse prime Q minus S inverse prime Q. D inverse prime Q, because it was written E inverse Q was D inverse Q minus S inverse Q. So if I take the derivative with respect to Q, I have to take the derivative in the right hand side for the both for the inverse demand equation as well as for the inverse supply equation. So I will write the expression as D inverse prime Q minus S inverse prime Q. So first tell me whether this first line is clear to all of you.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In the next step, I am writing the inverse function in the original functional form. So I'm writing, D inverse Q, that is 1 by D as a function of P. Because when I'll write the direct function, removing the inverse, I'll write 1 by. However, the function will become a function of P rather than remaining as a function of Q. Derivative is already there. So this will be written as 1 upon D prime P minus 1 by S prime P. So we are not using the standard mathematics following, 1 by D prime Q minus 1 by S prime Q. Because mathematics is our tool, there is the concept of economics underlying here. So whenever I'll change the inverse to the direct function, the function is becoming the function of P, not the function of Q. So I have to write the expression as 1 upon D prime as a function of P, 1 by S prime as a function of P. Then I can take LCM. So the denominator is becoming D prime P by S prime P, and the numerator is becoming S prime P minus D prime P. Marshallian stability requirement is given by D E inverse Q by DQ should be negative, which means because of presence of excess demand price, if quantity increases, that in turn reduces the gap between the demand price and the supply price. That is, that reduces the excess demand price. If there is an increase in quantity, that should reduce excess demand price. If there is an increase in Q, that should reduce excess demand price. So there should be an inverse relationship between the numerator and the denominator so that it should be less than 0. D in E inverse Q by dQ should be less than 0. If dE inverse Q by dQ is less than 0, then the equilibrium is Marshall stable. Otherwise, the equilibrium will be Marshall unstable. So look at the derivatives and check whether you are understanding everything.
And that means when you said before the diagram that when the demand price and supply price are falling due to the gap in the supply, this is that part, right? That is because it becomes less than 0. Yes, ma'am. This is this part, right? Because for every increasing supply, the gap between the demand price and supply price is falling.
Yes. What you
That's why. No, this is the mathematical part of that line. I'm trying to interrelate the two.
Yeah, so the same thing I have done here graphically, that I am presenting mathematically
Yeah,
there.
that's what I was asking because I tried to interrelate the two. This is the graphical part and that's the mathematical part.
What's the mathematical part? I am just not getting you. This is the graphical part, yes.
The equation you did, right? That
Yeah,
that is the mathematical part of
yes.
this graph. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is the mathematical part of this graph, yes. Okay, on the other hand, for the same demand supply curves, if I start from this direction, you know, this is the supply price, this is the demand price. So here the supply price is greater than demand price. So this is a typical position when the supply price is greater than that of the demand price. Okay. So I'm also marking the demand and the supply curves so that there is no confusion. So this is my starting point now, Q1. Now here supply price is greater than demand price. So what will happen? Quantity will move back or it will increase. Supply price is greater than demand price. So what will happen? Anyone?
It will decrease.
Ma'am, decrease.
Decrease, very good. So there will be a reduction in quantity. And as we do so, this is the supply price and this is the demand price. Okay. So now this is the so as the quantity is reducing, the gap is reducing or increasing?
Reducing.
Reducing. Okay, so as quantity is falling, the gap is reducing. Further, there will be reduction in quantity because still the supply price is greater than our demand price. So continuously the gap is reducing. Okay, so the gap is reducing continuously and we are moving towards the equilibrium. So it is Marshall stable. When there is excess demand price, quantity is increasing and that in turn reducing the gap between the demand price and the supply price. On the other hand, if we start with the excess supply price, in that case, quantity will fall and that reduction in quantity in turn will reduce the gap between the supply price and demand price. So we are moving towards the equilibrium. So if these things happen, we are calling the equilibrium Marshall stable. Now let me draw another graph. So now I'm considering just like the previous case. This is the supply equation and this is the demand equation. Okay. Then I am considering a quantity I'm considering this quantity and marking the demand price and the supply price. Here what is happening? Supply price is greater than demand price or demand price is greater than supply price? PS is greater than PD or PD is greater than PS?
And PS is greater than PD.
Yes. So this is PS and this is PD. So PS greater than PD. So whenever PS greater than PD, what will happen? If the supply price is greater than demand price, what happens? What is the behavioral assumption? Quantity will increase or fall? Anyone? If PS greater than PD, in that case, quantity will increase or it will be reduced. Please try, anyone, please try. What will happen?
Reduce quantity will
Quantity will be
reduce.
reduced. Yes, very good. This is the behavioral assumption. If PS greater than PD, supply price I'm finding is greater than demand price. What the consumers can give, the maximum amount can give. My price is greater than that. So I have to reduce my quantity. I have disincentive to produce more. So I'll reduce the quantity. Okay. So there will be a reduction in quantity.
Ma'am, in the second graph, can you explain the second graph once again? Because there's not
Now
such a
look at the
combination.
third graph. If you now still is there with the second graph, what you will understand about the third one?
It's getting a little confusing. That's why.
It's not confusing. It's not. It is the fact that you are not concentrating. Okay. So look at the third graph now. Concentrate on the third graph now. Now this is the demand curve. This is the supply curve. I'm starting from these PD and PS. Supply price is greater than demand, which means quantity should fall. The Marshallian behavioral assumption is quantity should fall. And as quantity is falling, the gap between the supply price and the demand price is increasing. The gap between the supply price and demand price is increasing, which means I am moving away and away from the equilibrium. So this particular graph is showing us the situation of Marshall instability. So this is just both 1 and 2 are indicating Marshall stable equilibrium. You know, in a single diagram, if I show this part 2, this right hand side 2, it may be a bit clumsy. And for that thing, I have used this second diagram to show you what happens if I start from this direction. So figure 1 and 2 are basically the same graph. In one case, I'm starting from this direction. That is, the demand price is greater than supply price. And showing you how we are moving towards the equilibrium. In the second case, for the same diagram, I'm considering the adjustment starting from the right-hand side part. That is the part when supply is greater than demand. That is, you know, the supply price is greater than the demand price. And then I am showing in this case too, if I follow the Marshallian behavioral assumption, that is supply price is greater than demand price, in that case, the producers will have some disincentive to produce more. So naturally output will fall. And as output is falling, the gap between the supply price and demand price is falling. Still the supply price is greater than demand price. So there will be further reduction in output. Still there is a gap between the supply price and the demand price. So again, output will be reduced. So continuously following the behavioral assumption, as we are moving to the new step, we are finding that we are moving towards the equilibrium. So in both figure A and, figure 1 and figure 2, we are getting Marshallian stability. Basically, figure 1 and 2 are the same diagram. In one case, I have started the adjustment starting from the left-hand side. In the other case, I am starting the adjustment starting from the right-hand side. Diagram 3 is a different picture. Here, the demand curve is positively sloped. The supply curve is negatively sloped. Now, let's start from the left-hand side first. So, what we are getting? Supply price is greater than demand price. So, Marshallian behavioral assumption under any circumstances in this case should be reduced quantity. Because, you know, the supply price is greater than demand price. So, what I'll do? I have to reduce the quantity. There is no point in increasing the quantity because I am getting less from the market compared to the minimum price at which I'll be able to sell the commodity. However, as I am reducing my quantity, what we are finding that the gap between PS and PD is increasing. That is, we are moving away from the equilibrium, which means figure 3 is indicating an equilibrium which is unstable in Marshallian sense. Now, for the same diagram, you can start with the right-hand side. Okay, for the same diagram, we can use the right-hand side part. And if I do so, I'm getting the demand price is greater than that of the supply price. So I'm getting excess demand price. If I get the demand price to be greater than supply price, naturally I'll have the incentive to supply more. And as I supply more, as I move to this direction, the gap will further increase. And again, the output will be increased. So I am moving away from the equilibrium. I am following all behavioral assumptions. However, I'll be not able to move towards the equilibrium. I'll move away from the equilibrium. So this figure 3 is indicating an equilibrium which is Marshall unstable. Now tell me if anyone has any confusion, anyone needs any repetition, or anyone needs to understand any point further. Now
Ma'am,
it's
it's clear now.
okay. Okay, so this is all for today. Okay, so anyone have any question for any part? So Arpan, you are writing, you are thinking too much for one day to understand. For those who don't have eco background, you know, however, what we will do, your admission has happened a bit late, you know. So, and the syllabus is really